Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back, everybody. It is the second episode of the Executive Suite, and I am joined today by two wonderful guests, Bahiyah Shabazz of Decimalytics and Joy Pittman of HR for the Culture. I'm so excited to have these ladies with me this afternoon. And of course, I want to start by first introducing myself and talking a little bit about the show. And then, of course, I'm going to slide the mic on over to my guests so that they can introduce themselves. If you don't know me, I am TeQuila Shabazz. I am the CEO and founder of Key Virtual Support Solutions. I am a wife, mother of a 28-year-old daughter. I consider myself a leader, coach, mentor, writer, believer, creator, and living life to have a peace of mind, right? So that's why I do what I do, so that I can have a peace of mind, right? And create my own little space of joy. And so I want to, of course, open up the floor so that you guys can meet our guests today. I don't want to take up too much time talking about myself. We will, of course, get into it in our conversations and connect, and to connect where we intersect. But let me first welcome Bahiyah Shabazz of Decimalytics, who I have known for quite some time. And she is going to kick us off by telling us in this first segment where we learn about our guest, who she is, what she does, her business, the purpose of her business, her success to date, how she got there, and her life mantra. So we can kind of walk through each of those questions. Let's kick it off first. Tell us who you are, Bahiyah.
All right. So first, who I am. That is, you know what I always say, that's kind of a loaded question because a lot of people want to put you inside of a box. And I tell them so often, I kick that box over and just drag it with me. But who I am as a person, I am a woman who has purpose, who's driven by my goals. I love my people in my community, and I do everything in my heart to help out everyone. I don't care if it's something that I can connect you with someone else or give you my last. I'm going to be there to support you. So, who I am as an individual is a person who lives with passion and purpose, and not allowing anything in my past, excuse me, to completely define who I am. I am here because of what I've lived through, as well as how I see myself, how I respect myself, and how I respect and see others. And walking through the door, no matter which door it is, I think when you live with a certain passion, people can see you, people can see that light. And I do my best with trying to shine with that light and show people who I am. So I am a person with passion and purpose.
That is so true. But yeah, that's how we met many, many, many years ago
Hmm.
when I was doing my very first venture with Bridge.
Yep.
And she drove all the way from Indiana to Chicago to attend an event, but not to just attend the event, but to meet me and also support me in the efforts that I was doing. So I know for sure that she lives that way. I want you guys to also make sure that you are subscribing to our YouTube channel so that you do not miss anything. I didn't say that the first time around, but please make sure you do that and make sure that you stay tuned in all the way through, because the Executive Suite, as you will see, is all about highlighting high earning self-made women and really dispelling a lot of the stereotypes. So we heard exactly who you are, and I really love that. Tell us what you do now with Decimalytics.
Well, what I do is, in a nutshell, I break down numbers to rebuild for profit. That
Hey.
is that is the definition. I wear many hats. I am the chief executive officer, investment strategist, and economist. So with Decimalytics, we outsource as a finance team for small businesses to eliminate some of that stress that they may have, lower some overhead, and help them with their cost. There are so many different titles other than Decimalytics. My initial passion, because I've been in the financial industry for over 20 years, been in business owner since 2008. rebranded Decimalytics during the pandemic. Everybody, 2020, can you believe it? When everybody else was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I said, I got something for you. Let me drop these jewels. And I did that. But more importantly, I also have the nonprofit organization Brown Girls Do Invest, where again, I get to do what I love to do, and that's help African American women learn how to invest in the stock market, learn how to invest in real estate, as well as acquire multiple streams of income. So on the business side, I continuously try to utilize my passion and continue to help others and see where we can be that solution to do that. If you want to know titles, a wife of 28 years, a son who just graduated college, yay, now he's going to be an electrician. I'm an author, documentarian, featured Summit Everywhere, TEDx speaker. I just love what I do, seriously. And people, and I'm also a doctoral student. Yay, almost walking across the stage, hopefully conferred this year. But someone asked me the other day, how do you have the time to do all this stuff? And I think to myself, how can you not have the time? No, seriously, if you say that you want to accomplish certain things in life, you find the time for what is important. I know that's like an old cliche, but you seriously do, whether this is your sole source of income where you are the business owner, or you work a 9 to 5 and you have your side hustle trying to transition that into a business, you find the time. I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours. You have to make sure that you plan that time to do what it is that's going to take you to that next level, and those around you to do so as well. So
yeah, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit further later when we get into sacrifice, because people don't understand the different sacrifices that you have to make in business. They revel a lot at the end goal, like the end outcome. They look at what we've achieved and say, ooh, I want that. But most people are not willing to do the work or make the sacrifices necessary to get to that point. And as you will hear from the stories that these ladies have, as we continue to delve deeper, some of the you don't even want to, most people don't want to go through that walk. They don't want to take that walk. You understand? So, Bahiyah, tell us you told us your purpose, but did you say that you started Decimalytics? Because I've known you so long and what you've been doing. But did you say you started Decimalytics during COVID?
I sure did. So
what kind of success have you had to date?
Tremendous. I'm going to tell you, literally within, now I've always been a 6-figure earner. But with Decimalytics, of course, rebranding from Shabazz Management Group, dissolving that and starting Decimalytics up, first year out the gate, 6-figure. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we were able to be that solution for those small businesses who did not have that finance team, and being that person there to open the doors, to give people hope. It was really gratifying. Not only that, we were able to, and we still do, we collaborate with a lot of organizations that are working with small business owners, and they don't know how to create their financial report or even how to read it or whatever it is they need to do, because there are so many people on our team that are assigned to do certain things, that they're able to come on and hire us to do what it is that they do not know how to do. And it relieves that stress. You would be amazed at how many people, and I'm pretty sure you know, globally, who's trying to figure everything out on their own. So even during the pandemic, we started out, I'm in Indiana, as you mentioned, a stone away from Chicago. Started out here and expanded throughout the United States. We have clients as well as employees in Venezuela, Kenya, Canada, trying to go over to the pond, across the pond. But it's been a tremendous success because, again, a lot of business owners don't realize that you have to combine your passion with the providing the solutions to a phenomenon that's out there. And if you're going through some things, rest assured some other people are as well, and tapping into whatever it is that they need. And we were able to tap into that. and not being greedy with it, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is sometimes people can find a niche and say, I'm going to charge this X amount of money because
Ooh,
I'm the
girl.
only person doing it. I'm not telling you to lower your standards as well as your costs, but let's be realistic. Let's, and that was an attraction to bringing in clientele as well throughout the United States.
And what our audience will figure out today, what we all have in common is helping people to build teams, right? In order for them to scale and get to 6, 7, 8 higher figures. And a lot of times, one of my biggest misconceptions was that people who were high earners had it all together.
Oh, no.
That was one of my biggest misconceptions. But those are my best clients.
Don't make me fall out this chair. Do not make me fall. Didn't I tell you I've been in this financial world for over 20 years, and we don't even want to talk about it. When people see what I'm doing, they're like, oh my goodness, you let this happen overnight. Baby, please. This has been decades in the making. You didn't see the sleepless nights and everything that I had to do. I turned the hustle into a grind, into a business, into an empire.
That's right.
And that's the difference.
That is. That's a great segue over to our second guest here, Joy Pittman for HR for the Culture. I love that name. Welcome, Joy. Same thing. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey, y'all. So who I am, I'm probably answering this question very different after the last 6 months of life, which we'll talk a little bit about as we go through this. So if I had to describe myself today as who I am, I'm literally just a Black woman trying to build the life I don't want to escape. And doing that on every level, whether it's financial, in my romantic life, in my professional life, my business, the decorations in my house. I'm just trying to build for myself a life that I want to live in and be all of me in. And so how that currently is manifesting itself is really aiming to be a better friend, somebody that shows up a little bit more, figuring out the balance in business and all the other things. I think I've spent a lot of my life being the businesswoman. If you asked me before, I was the grind, I was the hustle, I was the smart, trying to be the smart one in the room, trying to get all the things. And I think right now I'm just looking to balance that out. Also wanting to, in the pursuit of that, inspire other people to do the same thing, because I do realize that women who look like me, Black women, and people navigating being Black and woman in the US, and all the stuff that comes with that, oftentimes we get a lot of critique about what we don't do well. We're not always given permission to figure out and to be all of ourselves, and given grace to navigate what that is. And so at 40, and I'm saying that a little bit more proudly because I was creeping into it real light, like as I am into 40. But after a few of those, like, girl, you look 25s, and I'm believing that they're not lying to me. I'm saying, okay, we're going to own this. I think that's really what it is. So I really wish I had like a more buttoned up and clear answer. But really, if that's the best descriptor I have, is that I feel like I'm on a different type of journey. And so being an entrepreneur and what I do for other people is a part of how I'm serving out my purpose, but living a life and figuring out all of who I am in that journey and impacting as many people along the way is pretty much who I'm aspiring to be right now. And so
listen, that's a whole mantra, trying to build a life I don't want to escape. Like that in itself, like I think that speaks volumes to me. That really resonates with me. And I'm 44 and I'm on that mission since turning 40. I was like, you know what? I want to build this life of peace, of joy. I don't want nobody stressing me out. I'm not carrying anybody's stress. And like you said, I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I don't have to make all the money in the world. I just want this peace. So I love that. Tell me about what you do with HR for the Culture. What's the purpose and your success? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so HR for the Culture was also founded in the pandemic, and we started out as JVP Legacy. I'm going to do a little bit of homage to my parents, who have both now transitioned. My dad in 2009 and my mom at the end of last year. And so the original name of HR for the Culture was JVP Legacy, which is Gerald and Vivian Pittman's legacy. That's what I am. That means more to me now that both of my parents are no longer on this side of earth. And so in thinking about what we do, we were actually founded through the idea that employment, or initially it was through the idea that employment was a tool of economic empowerment for communities of color, not just from the standpoint of entrepreneurship and owning our own businesses, but also being able to spread that wealth through employing individuals that look like us, and creating safe spaces for people of color, Black talent, right? And I don't want to just say people of color, but specifically for me, it was Black talent to find places where their identities were more than diversity metrics, where there were actual places that they could live and thrive and work, and also run up the bag, right? And do that in a healthy place. It really evolved. So when I started thinking about it, it was that we were going to go in and help people, not be toxic. Like, I think that was kind of like the idea, birthed in the idea that when I was looking at the stats around Black women-owned businesses, that horrible $24,000 a year that they keep dangling in front of us, that was what we make on average. And what I noticed is that amongst the different things that were the disconnect between how we could grow our businesses, that we didn't really get access to funding the same way. For service-based businesses specifically, we don't generally have the types of things that people want to give loans to, because there's nothing really you can't liquidate intellectual property, right? And laptops. Right. So those are the kind of things that we just had a disconnect in how we were able to get funding. And one thing that I noticed was that we also built teams at a much lower rate and a slower pace than other groups and other communities. And so we initially started out with, this wasn't the focus, but it was as a sidebar to providing these services. I want to show team that we can actually hire our way into the numbers that we need to get into. We don't have to wait for a handout. We can actually strategically use hiring as a scale and growth strategy. And so now we are HR for the Culture, helping Black business owners hire the right people at the right time in the right way so that they can scale confidently and sustainably. How that has looked for us is that we hit our first six figures in our first 6 months, with a large portion of that, about 3/4 of that being really in Q4 of 2020. So that we walked into a pandemic. Everybody was saying everybody was closing. We was like, nah, Black businesses are thriving right now. And we were able to jump in and provide that support. In our first 18 months, we did over $500,000 in revenue. I want to normalize, though, the conversation between revenue and profit, because we're going to talk a little bit about that, I'm sure. Yeah. We were a profitable business. That $500,000 did not hit my pockets. There was a lot of investment back into the business, but it did tell us that the market was saying yes to what it was that we were doing, that we were able to, within that short amount of time, see $500,000 in revenue. And so again, we've broken through the $24,000, that foolery, right? We've gotten through that. That it really quickly became our monthly revenue, right? And what they were saying that we could only make in a year. What's more important to me is that we actually did it supporting Black businesses, and helping Black businesses hire Black talent. So I did not have to pivot from the mission. I did not have to compromise what it is that we said. I think I just got clearer about us being for the culture, and really owning that. We got our trademark approved for HR for the Culture. So we own it now in these streets, right? Like, it's a lane.
Don't use it.
Yes, right. So don't be trying to use my stuff, right? This TM is real. But also in doing that, and I think part of the success was, and I will absolutely say this goes back into the living a life I don't want to escape, is that this has also been the first time in my life that I've shown up unapologetically all parts of who I am. That I'm not thinking about what's appropriate. I'm not thinking about verb tense. I'm not trying to figure out if I'm umming too much, because I'm sure I've dropped a few ums in this particular part of the segment. It's not that I don't care about how I present myself, but I spent so much time trying to be appropriate that I missed out on opportunities to be authentic and to be impactful, because I was trying to figure out what and how to say it. And so as we talk about success, like, yes, we have a thing and the market needs it, but I also think connected to that is that people are buying into who we are as much as they buy into what we do. And when people can't figure out who we are, it's harder for them to connect with what we do as small businesses that are growing. And so as I think about that, as it relates to the people that we support, part of the work that we do is wanting them to feel like we can be who we are and build in our businesses, and think about that. And there are teams that we can build that don't just allow the business to thrive, but allow us to thrive in the business at the same time. And so I'm going to pause here because I can talk, but I want to make sure I'm not going through all the answers, right, and getting to all the things. But
no, that's really good.
That's what we do.
That's really good. And where we all intersect, or what we have in common, is I built my business. I built Key Virtual Support Solutions off the back of a social enterprise bridge, where we definitely drove awareness about Black people in places. And I saw a lot of what was going on with our businesses. And you would have people building businesses for 20, 25 years. And once they were gone, the business was gone with them because they didn't have teams. And it kind of served as a gateway to starting Key Virtual Support Solutions and giving them that first bit of help. So people aren't necessarily able to go right into the employee space, but they may start with a contractor. And with us, that's how it is. It's like, let me get your feet wet here with the contractors, and let me do so with connecting you with other Black people, so that is one of the things I'm with you, Joy, that I'm very proud of, as well as you, Bahiyah, where we're able to connect Black businesses with Black people at whatever stage they're at. And very much like you guys, Key Virtual Support Solutions started a year before the pandemic, right? And I had moderate success, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm about to travel the world and see what this digital nomad life do, and what it's like to be a freelancer from Kenya or Brazil or Colombia, the places that I'm hiring from." And what happened is COVID hit, and my business grew 300% year over year over year, right? So there definitely was a demand, and did so with primarily Black women businesses, right? And so I think that we share in that. I love what you guys, the gems that you guys dropped. Again, HR for the Culture is Joy Pittman, Decimalytics for Bahiyah Shabazz. And we don't get into some little fun stuff, some random stuff. This is the segment where I pull out, I call it the crown segment.
Okay.
I pull out my crown. It ain't my fiance. He's like, "Let me get you a real crown."
No qualifiers.
Exactly,
it is for today. We would take that.
This is my call for today. And my audience, my beloved audience that is watching the Executive Suite, you're in here with us. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We will make sure that we address those questions towards the end of our segment, but I definitely want to do that. All kinds of comments that are coming in. Big hey to you guys. She said that Carrie says that she loves that thing, trying to build a life. I don't want to escape. And I'm going to remove trying and say, you building a life. I hate the word try.
Right.
You doing it.
Yeah.
You really doing it. Okay.
I'll take that.
Let's pick from our hat. And the way this segment works is I'm gonna pick a topic from out of my head. It could be a number of topics: aging, leadership, the stories, stereotypes, sacrifice, etc. And then you are able to answer a question. I'm gonna do it a little bit different from how I did it before. I'm gonna have you guys both answer the questions that we have. So you'll have about 5 minutes or less to answer the question. I'm telling y'all this because
the pressure's on.
We all talky. So the very first one, this is a good one, is relationships. And just to give a little background, we're gonna have some fun with this one. We're gonna give a little background. But you're married, right?
Yes.
You said that you've been married for
28 years. 28 freaking years.
You're 28. What you talking about? Okay, so she's been married for 28 years. And is your husband an entrepreneur?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so that's good. Now, Joy, tell us a little bit. Are you married? You single? What's your situation?
I'm single.
You?
I'm single.
You single and actively dating?
Yes.
Okay, so and I am engaged. I'll be married in 90 days. Actually, from today, I'll be married in 90 days. So you got a married person of 28 years. You have an actively dating single person, and then you have an engaged person. So I'm really interested in talking about this.
But got real hot in here.
I know. You see, I'm like, I left my fan at home. Oh, Lord.
Okay, so my first question right here under relationships. I'm gonna start with you, Bahiyah.
Oh Lord. Okay.
I
give too much TMI. You know I give too much TMI.
This is easy right here. This is easy. I promise. Kinda. But this is a big debate that people have. Okay. Are intimate relationships business? is your relationship with your husband, is that business? Because you've heard this. People say that marriage is business. Relationships are business. You should approach your relationships the same way you do business. Do you agree, disagree, and why?
I'm indifferent. I'm going to tell you why. It will be 28 years, June 16th. Holla at your girl. Initially, and I'm going to tell you, initially, I did look at our relationship as a business point of view. But since I have been in this marriage, I have lived through some things. I'm at a point where if you ask my son, I don't care. He's like, Mom, you don't care. I'm like, I don't. And not to say in a malicious way, but I have a life to live, and I want to enjoy myself and be at peace with myself.
Wait,
And
what do you mean here that you don't care? What does that mean? Like,
I don't stress out about things like I used to. Just like in my business world, if something didn't happen, I literally would freak out about it, be concerned, roll over every day and say, how can I fix this? This is, is going to be a detriment to my business. The same mentality was in my marriage, that if my husband didn't do something that was part of my contract in the back of my head, then things were going to fall apart. And I had to understand that he's his own individual and everything is not going to happen as though I see it to happen. And it used to be, and I shared this, and I'm not going to give too much of this, but I used to be, whereas, and it was up until recent, I literally would write down everything and say, listen, date night is this night. We have to do this at that day. Oh, it's been too long since this has happened. Let's go ahead and make it happen, partner. It was literally, and you fill in the blanks, but it was, I'm serious. That's how much of a business it was. This is my appointment book, and I write down everything. And that's how I treated my marriage. Like, okay, we have to do this, be ready. And it became so much of a chore that we were not enjoying life. And I could not enjoy my marriage, and I could not enjoy what my husband has to bring to the table. When you ask, is he an entrepreneur? No, he's not, but he is so supportive. I call him my sniper because he's always in the back. I'm the person that would shake everybody's hand, talk to everybody. And my husband's back there like, let her do her thing. Just don't touch her. It's okay. He is my biggest fan. Seriously. He checks in with me. How's everything going? And he's the biggest cheerleader that I have. But I had to transition and get out of the treating my marriage like a business to truly enjoying it. And it's so disheartening. I was literally thinking about this last week when I was looking at him. I said, I feel like I kind of wasted a lot of years in our marriage trying to make him be the person that I think he should be to make me happy, when in fact the universe truly paired us together because he was what I needed all the time anyway, because he is so laid back. And I'm not. I'm like, if I set a goal, I'll be the first to admit, if I set a goal and he's like, you're so extreme. I haven't eaten meat since 95. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, and listen. And I just abruptly did that. If I say I'm going to run a marathon, I'm going to do that. If I say I'm going to run a business and it's going to be successful, I am going to do it until it happens, which is why I literally take naps, right? For him, he's just go with the flow. Yeah, it happened. I'm like, but did you do this? He's like, calm down. It's all right. He is truly my peace in the storm. And every time I sit next to him, I fall asleep. Not because he's boring, because he is so peaceful. When I have that world that I have to make it happen and I have to be accountable for 15 employees and hundreds of accounts, I go home and I am me. And what I enjoy doing, I enjoy cooking. As crazy as it sounds, I go home, I prepare a meal every single day. I'm in it's garden season. Hey, I do a garden every year. Seriously, I lay out in the sun. I am enjoying life now. And I don't look at the marriage as a business. I go with the flow, which is why I say I don't care. Not a malicious way, but I don't care, meaning that everything will work out.
Yes, that message was listen, that message was for me. Deanna said, look, is she preaching a word? Answer is yes. Bahiyah on not running her marriage like a business. I feel that. And I'm telling you, I called this is a true story, Bahiyah. You know, me and you didn't have this conversation because our guys are very much alike. And you know, you're my elder in this, even though you're my sister. I'm like, listen, I need some advice on how to do this, and that. But I called him today. I said, you know what? I ain't arguing no more. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not trying to control them because I'm the same way as you. I'm very goal oriented. This is what we got to do. This is how we need to do. And it becomes stressful.
It does.
It becomes very, very stressful. So I love that. Let me ask Joy. Because I know you probably got some nuggets right now. So don't be trying to change your answer based off that what you just learned right now. But do you think, you know what I mean, as you are in, you know, the dating arena right now, are you approaching this from the standpoint you do with business? Meaning, are you out here interviewing people, hiring them for a job as husband?
So I make you laugh because the one thing that I historically say is the one thing I don't do is relationships. Like I don't talk about them. So you got me on here today. I'm gonna be out here. Here's what I will say. Because of the stage that I am in life, so I'm 40 years old. I do not have children, but I would like to have children. I also, though I'm 40, and while I'm not chasing my biological clock, while I do not feel like I'm out of time, I also know I don't have time to waste. There is a component of me that is thinking about how this person aligns with what it is that I'm looking to accomplish in my life, and how I complement what they're looking to accomplish, right? So I'm not saying that I'm interviewing them, but I am trying to think through, do we complement, do we supplement each other? And is this a situation where I will have to shrink? Is this somebody that's looking at what I bring to them as far as value as it relates to how I can help them build without consideration to what it is that I'm in trajectory of building? Do we want the same things, right? Like this is not, at this stage in the game, you want kids or you don't. So if it's a no for you, you're probably a no for me because it's something that I'm open to. So it is because of the timing in my life that I'm thinking about this stuff. I am thinking about it, not so much as a business, but more so around what compatibility looks like. I probably am utilizing my team building, the stuff that I normally do to think through, you know, how I'm identifying. But I also just think that, you know, the approach that I had and the thoughts that I had at 20 and 25 about what it looked like to grow with somebody versus what it looks like to now sit in this level of maturity with somebody and identify if we are what the other person needs for the next phase of life and whatever that looks like. I think the approach is a little different for me now, but I'm trying also not to think about that person as a business project or as something to work on. So I don't want to hire a mentee or somebody I have to train. Like I am thinking about it as whoever I'm connecting with, can I bring in the expert, right? Like the person that is good in what it is that they do and how it is that they show up and what it is that they want and how we figure out how to do that together. Now, I'm sure there's something I can glean, a lot to have been gleaned from his comments and thinking about what that plays out in the actual relationship, because in my day-to-day life, I am a fixer and I'm a strategist. So I have to figure out how to sometimes come out of my own head and stop strategizing the relationship and figure out how to let it be organically what it is or what it is not. But I also do probably set, like I am doing my 30, 60, 90s in my head. Like I am thinking through, is this person a good fit? And that really has a lot to do with the fact that I don't want to waste anybody's time and I don't want my time wasted. And I know that emotions, once you're in them, it is a lot harder to be honest about what really works when you're already emotionally wrapped up and entangled. So I'm trying to create a good pace between my head and my heart, right? And being able to say, I want to openly and love as hard as possible, but I don't want to be loving hard individuals that just don't make sense for where I know life is taking me and for where life is taking them.
I like that, Joy. I really do. I can take away from what you're saying too, and hopefully a lot of the ladies would take away from what both of us are saying, because when you are in your element and you're running your business, you want to be and I'm going to speak from a personal point of view. And I literally had to have this conversation with my husband because he was so used to me being driven and making decisions all the time that I had to tell him, once I step through that front door, I don't want to have to make a decision.
Right.
Even though you look at me, he would tell everybody, my wife is so intelligent and accomplished. Thank you. Thank you. I am, because of who I surround myself with. Is not solely on me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be at home making decisions all the time. So if I literally ask you a question or ask you to do something, that means I need for you to do it. Now, I am, when someone said to me before, they were like, oh, you're like you independent. I said, no, I am independently dependent. So I'm interdependent. My mom, it's so funny because my mom taught me how to change a tire, change the oil. My dad taught me how to make it. When my dad passed away during the pandemic, but he taught me how to cook when I was young. And when he used to visit, he would be so, his only disappointment was I never knew how to make gravy. Are you kidding me? We don't eat it. Anyway, my point is, I can do all the things my husband can do, but I don't need to do it, and I don't want to. I have, and people look at me side eyes when I say, no, I have a husband to do that. They're like, oh, that was me. No. We established like roles. Like, I love to cook, and not because I'm a female, but for me, that's my passion. I love when people come to visit me. TeQuila asked me for guacamole recipe for like 3 years, and I finally gave it to her, because I just love when I'm cooking for individuals just to see them brighten up. But my point is, when you're in a certain status, you want to walk through their door and take that cape off. And I tell people all the time, the S does not always stand for Shabazz. It's for Superwoman, and I'm tired of it. I want I want to walk through the door and just know that I can melt, and I can truly feel like I don't care, because you have picked up everything and picked me up and say, it's okay. I got it now.
Yeah. And I realize even in
there's a big misconception that women that lead want to lead all the time. Including in our households. And I had this conversation, same thing with my guy, where I'm like, look, I think in the beginning, matter of fact, when I was in Joy's shoes, it was like, look, listen, I just innately take charge of things. But in my relationship, when I come home, I don't want to have to make all the decisions. I don't want to have to think all the time. You know, I want to be able to turn off so that you can get the best of me.
I realized too, like for me, and I think life changes what we do. Like, I have had extreme decision fatigue over the last couple of months. So even down to like, what do you want to eat? I'm like, pick it. Like, I don't know, right? Like, I really, it's not being difficult. I'm not being indecisive. I don't know. And I also, you know, the things that we don't necessarily think about, and I guess what I'm thinking about more in depthly. So just a little bit of personal story so it makes sense. My dad had stage 4 lung cancer. I watched my mom be a caregiver. My dad passed in 2009. My mom was sick before she passed. We weren't really sure all the things that were going on. But I've also been of the mind of like, you know, I want somebody for whom, if I have to wipe them, that it is a privilege to wipe them. I know that sounds like real.
I love it.
I want to and enjoy whoever I partner with in a way where if they're not able to do all the other things, right? And if it's down to like wiping noses and tails, like that I enjoy this person so much, that this person, the conversations we have, the banter we have, you know, I was clear that my parents probably weren't intimate for the last year or so of my dad's life, right? Like, you know, am I annoyed now that we have intimacy built in other ways where sex is not the only intimacy that we have? So I think what I've run into, and I think the conundrum I'm in, is that what I am looking for really is a deeper level of, I don't necessarily just need somebody to help me pay bills or take out garbage or do the day-to-day. And now let me get me right. I do want somebody to be willing to take out this garbage. Let me hold that, right? But I realized that, you know, with some of the things that I've navigated, being able to the points that were made after a long day, be able to fold into, I couldn't sleep for a while, right? After my mom passed. And in my mind, I remember being like, if there was just somebody to snuggle up underneath and feel safe, right? To feel like after you coming home from a long day, the person is not there waiting for you to serve them, but they also are mindful of you, that we serve each other in this space. And so I think that's when I'm looking at that kind of balance, right? It's trying to find somebody that doesn't just see what it is that I can bring, but it's also thinking about how to help me show up as my best self, or sees doing for me as part of their privilege, right? And that's something that I was able to witness in my parents. I witnessed it in my grandparents. I've been blessed to see Black love, right, in a way that was real. I've lived under it. Like, I've seen what it looks like. So I'm not chasing something I don't believe exists, but I think those pieces help us to sit in our femininity. I think a lot of times women get pegged as we are, especially Black women or women that are doing certain things or achieving certain levels of success, that like we are these hard creatures and we don't know how to like, it's not that we don't know how. It's that sometimes I'm standing here looking for where I can and no one's offering me that place, right? And so I think for me, when we're thinking about the value that I believe, that I'm looking for the men in my life to bring, it is not necessarily bringing me more things to do. I'm not necessarily looking for compliments. I do want to feel validated. I do want to feel like I'm beautiful, like all those things. But I also want to know that like you got me. I want to know that like at the end of an argument, when you walk out the room, you walk in to go, flush the toilet and you're not getting your keys and coat and walking out the door. Like those are certain levels of stability that I'm looking for. Like we're in this. And so whether this business makes $1 million or 1 million mistakes, like we're riding through this stuff in a way where we got each other. And I think that's part of, and I think some of what women are looking for as far as standards is, can you hold up, right, under the pressure of my humanity? Right? Like when I take off this girdle and this makeup, right? Are you good with being able to sit with the parts of me that I cannot unpack in front of this audience that's going to stop paying me, right? Are you willing to sit with that and not judge me for it, not throw it up in my face in an argument, like none of that, not, remind me that they think you great, but I know you this over here, but like always like affirming. So I think those are the pieces at this stage in my life that I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a welfare check. I'm not looking to marry somebody to swipe credit cards. Now, here's the other part. I do want you to have your own stability. So we got to find these balances, right? But the big things that stand out to me really are how you support me in my emotional space. Can I be all of the soft things that I want to be after a hard day in this space, right? Are you able to be complimentary on the day that I'm not feeling great about myself? Are you the person that can say the thing that makes it feel like it, are you helping things make sense, right? Can I fold into, can I also be strong with you and you not turn that against me? You know what I mean? Like, can I be weak and strong, right?
That's big.
All those things.
That's big when you talk about, can I be strong and you not turn that against me?
Yeah.
I've seen that over and over. When I was dating, I've seen that over and over to the point where, you insult me and call me sir.
Yep.
Right? Things like that. When it's like, excuse me, right? So I think that, excuse me, there is a big misconception about what we're looking for. So I love that you said it's not about the check. Now, I want you to have your own, but it's not about, can you come here and take care of me because I'm able to take care of myself. And there's a huge conversation about what a high value man is. And we're not talking enough about high character. Right. Yeah. And that's what we're looking for. I ain't gonna open that door.
Girl.
Listen, that's the next one. That's the one after we do a few more when we come back. That's the reunion show.
Yeah. Let's have a reunion show.
Let's have a reunion show, honey. Well, actually, you guys make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Okay, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you're liking our Facebook page, and make sure that you go and follow Decimalytics as well as HR for the Culture. We'll make sure to drop those links inside of the description once we finish airing, so you'll always be able to find them. But right now, I'm getting ready to, before I pull from the crown, part of the crown segment. Talk about a man who supports you, baby. I'm gonna get you a crown. He said, you a crown. I'm like, this is the crown. Okay, so before we move forward, I'd like to do kind of a 60-second commercial break that allows you guys to 60 seconds advertise your business, right? And where people can find you. So I'm gonna go ahead and let 60 seconds now. 60 seconds. We all talky, but I'm going to go ahead and let Decimalytics go first. And you guys will see Decimalytics' website on the screen. But Decimalytics, go ahead. Timer starts now for you.
Hello, everyone. I am Bahiyah Shabazz with Decimalytics. We would love to partner with small businesses as well as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs to outsource as your remote finance team. If you're looking for someone in the capacity from business economics, controller, chief executive, chief financial officer, internal auditor, as well as bookkeeper, please give us a call. We would definitely love to speak with you at an affordable price.
Very good. Okay, that's Decimalytics. You guys see that on the screen. And now Joy with HR for the Culture. You can see her information on the screen as well.
So hey y'all, Joy HR for the Culture. We provide fractional outsource solutions for small businesses, but we've also launched our Like a Boss line, right? Because we realize that everybody's not in a position to bring in a full in-house outsourced HR department. I know that sounds crazy, in-house outsourced, right? We're not able to bring on a full solution, but we realize that key areas of your business, like your hiring, your onboarding, your performance management, your termination process, these are things that you should have in your business structured and set up. Whether you're a 6-figure business, a 7-figure business, a 5-figure business, you need this stuff set up as you're bringing on and hiring teams. And so we are excited to talk about our H-Lab project, our lab products. Our feature product this month is our H-Lab, our Hire Like a Boss. It includes job description, a compensation study, 30, 60, and 90-day plan. Also your interview guide to help you interview the right people, get the right questions, all that stuff set up, and all the templates you will need. So if you're interested in that or just learning more about our general services, go ahead to HR for the Culture and book a call. As soon as you get to the website, there's a learn more button. You click that button and schedule a call, and you get to talk to me. Okay. So that's how we're setting it up. But look to see you guys. And hopefully you click on the link and we can learn more about how we can support your business.
That was like 90 seconds.
Sorry, y'all.
You owe me $200.
She took half of mine because I know only did mine in 30 seconds. So I
meant the real time. And if you are in the market for a virtual assistant, great time for an entry to executive level, you can always go to keysupportsolutions.com and we will connect you with administrative sales and customer service support. You see the link there, keysupportsolutions.com. We're about to get into the second part of this show, though. So I am, oops, sorry, guys. There we go. I picked out of the hat, and the hat that what came out is the story, right? So that's what is up. It's called the story. Okay, the story. So that means your story. And the question that came out, who started last time? Was it who ended? It was Bahiyah, but Joy ended, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bahiyah, you're gonna kick this off. It's if you were talking to you, your own sister friend, right? Like, okay. As your own sister friend, what would you tell you? So this means going into a vulnerable side of yourself and that thing that you just need to get together, right? What would you tell you as your own sister friend?
Girl, you are enough.
Mm-hmm.
You are truly enough. Do not overthink anything. Do not feel as though you're incapable. You are more than enough. Your mistakes are truly lessons. And if it was my sister girl, which means that we were in the same circle, and she probably was someone like me who had imposter syndrome, I would let her know that she has accomplished far more than what she thought she accomplished. And because other people may have a certain expectation of you, it does not define who you are. You're doing what you want to do because you love what you want to do, not to satisfy anybody else. And everything that you learn is attributed to your future and the legacy that you're going to leave behind. So take every step with a grain of salt, live your life, learn your lessons, implement your lessons, and everything that you learn, teach other people. And it's okay. It's okay to say no to yourself. It's okay to say no to everybody else. And you truly would not have all the answers right then and there.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What about you, Joy? Sister friend. You, your own sister friend. If you were talking to you as a sister friend, what would you tell you?
Trust you more. Trust yourself more. Mm-hmm. I think oftentimes I've been guilty of giving so much value to everybody else's opinion and thoughts of how I was living and navigating my life, and very little consideration to what I actually thought or wanted or valued. And so I would tell myself to listen to myself a little bit more and trust myself more, not just listen, but actually trust that. I will also teach myself to learn or talk to sister friend and say, learn to appreciate and then disconnect, right? So appreciate whether it's in you or other people, the parts of past versions of yourselves and past relationships that were necessary at that season, but also learn when to disconnect from those things when they no longer serve you, both in other people and in yourself, right? And it doesn't mean that we make people a utility and throw them away, but oftentimes we feel obligated to stay in places, both in ourselves and our own emotions and how we've shown up and how we've been, and with other people that don't serve us anymore, right? We just feel obligated to stay there. And so to release that obligation, be appreciative and thankful, but then also learn when to disconnect and release those things so that we can continue our growth and journey.
Yes. I love that. Trust yourself. It's a lot of that. Because very similar to you all, I definitely would tell myself, you are exactly who you think you are. Don't stop and question it for a second. And don't become small in a room where you think these people are more than what you think you are, because you are exactly who you know yourself to be. Right. So I think that we all kind of share that sentiment of trusting yourself. And as you guys can see, audience, that a lot of times, just like you, we suffer from this imposter syndrome, right? But we do it afraid anyway. We go through and we do it anyway. So it's a constant talk and a constant conversation with self every single day. I am going to ask another question out of the story. And this one is name, you can start, Joy, with this one, okay? Name 1 to 3 character traits, positive or negative, that you've carried with you throughout your life. And how have these traits helped or hindered your journey?
You got to prep us with these questions and
This our sister girl conversation.
I'm like, wait,
you can just think, and it don't have to be 3. It can be 1
yeah.
to 3 things that you just
So,
know.
Yeah, I know I'm hyper analytical. I'm hyper analytical. I'm very thoughtful. That has served me in my career. It has not served me in my relationships. So learning how to compartmentalize when to be that and when to be able to kind of be a little bit freer. That would have served me better early on, but I am hyper thoughtful, questions, inquisitive, all the stuff. And it works really well with process. It doesn't work as great with people sometimes if you don't know how to contextualize it well. I also think I'm extremely empathetic. Again, a lot of the stuff that I'll mention about me, I think the journey for me has been finding the balance, because you can be an empath to the point where you carry other people so much that it really hinders how you figure out how to navigate. So again, it's made me really good in the HR space, being able to navigate difficult conversations, and even the work that I do now. I'm moving into doing more DEI work, like all that stuff. Has been uber helpful in thinking through how to help people lead and manage their teams. But often what it has done is that I carry the stuff home with me. Like I don't know how to turn it off. So I'm home thinking about things past the point that I should have. I'm carrying other people's burdens and like responsibilities. So not knowing how to offload and reset. So it served me, and it's also been a hindrance. And then knowing how to, and this one is I think it's been more of a hindrance, is that I'm a great communicator about the things that I care the least about, and a horrible communicator about the things that really are like close to me. And so that has not helped me well, in that I just ended up carrying things that I should have been able to communicate better at. So even my leadership, even in my career, being able to talk around the other stuff, the appropriate stuff, but never really being able to get to the meat of things, or feeling comfortable getting to the meat of things is something I've done a lot of work on. But it was one of the things that I know hindered me early in my career, because it allowed me to only address things at a very surface level when I needed to have taken the deep dive, in order to really get the support that I needed and or to articulate the things that were important. So those were, I guess those are my 3. I'll pause there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, same question for you. Name 1 to 3 character traits, positive or negative, that you've carried with you throughout your life, and how have these traits helped or hindered your journey?
I'll name 3. 1 is loyalty. That's, for me, that's a good and a bad thing. And the reason why is because when you have me for life. But some people are not as deserving to have me. So when I am with you, I give you the benefit of the doubt over and over and over again. Whether I feel as though you're going to be supportive of me or you're going to hinder me. So my loyalty game is very strong, but I have to learn how to be loyal to myself. and learn how to cut those ties when I know that they need to be cut. But for me, it's always thinking about how is that other person going to feel if they do not have me in their life, if that makes sense, as though I am the person to save everyone. And I think that mentality started for me when I was younger, growing up in the environment that I was in with my parents when they were married. Transparent moment, it was not always a loving marriage, which I think is why I had that initial imposter syndrome, because it was so chaotic around me that I felt that I had to be in control and that I had to be that light for my mom when she was going through such turmoil with my dad. And so for me, having that loyalty and thinking that I have to be that person to save and be with you all the time, that can be a hindrance as well as something good, depending on the situation. Another characteristic that I could think, I overanalyze every freaking thing. And my husband's just like, what is the problem? Like, okay, so did this, so when this happened, was the wind blowing to the left or to the right? He's like, what difference does it make? I'm trying to tell you why it makes a difference. I truly overanalyze every single thing, which sometimes it can be very stressful and on a personal as well as professional level, because I'm like, okay, if something happens this particular way, it will have this certain outcome, and if not, this is what I need to do. So let me think about this over and over. Even when I know I'm making the best decision, I'm still thinking about all the what ifs. I'm an avid reader, and when I was younger, I was too an avid reader. I literally would go to the library every weekend, check out a book and read the books, do the storytelling, everything, so I can get my free Pizza Hut personal pan pizza every weekend. Seriously. But I love the books. Whereas if you want this outcome, turn to this page. If you want that,
choose your own adventure.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the life that I live. Like, let me choose my own adventure by analyzing what could possibly happen. So that's a characteristic of myself. And the last one, gratitude. And I know people probably would say, well, it's great to have such gratitude. But lately I've been questioning that. And I'm going to tell you why. Although I'm grateful for everything, should I also be grateful for the very small things that people do, that when they do something, it's like, oh, here you are just because. And it's like, well, you gave me something that really was subpar and it really wasn't what I was looking for, but because you took the time out to do it, I should be grateful, if that makes sense. So I am grateful all the time for waking up every day and helping other people and for what people can do for me. But I'm lately questioning myself, that knowing who I am and valuing my self-worth, should I always be grateful for what people bring to me, even though it's not beneficial and even though it's subpar? And I know that they can give me something else that's better, but they're just giving me something just because that's what they want to give me. And that's my expectations of them. So I should be grateful that they did something, no matter how small it is, when I know that they're capable of giving me something that I truly deserve. Should I be grateful of whatever they just give to me, if that makes sense?
You should be grateful for the lesson to even be questioning whether you should be grateful for this, right? Because it's helping you to level up and grow. So that's where the gratitude comes in. I'm grateful for this experience so that I can evaluate whether or not this is anything that truly serves me. And that's how I look at gratitude. It may not be in the act itself, but in the lesson from the act, right?
Exactly. And because of that, lately, I've cut off some relationships, and I'm okay with that. Again, it's circle back around. My son's like, you don't care. I do care. I care enough to understand what I want in my life, what I do not want in my life. I want peace in my life. I want happiness in my life. I want to define my success not only by my business. And to be honest, I don't even talk about this is like Joy was talking about relationships. I don't even talk about my income or anything like that, because not that I'm not happy about it, but for me, I got those family members. I know they're gonna check in. They always in my pockets. Let me hold something. They do. Let me hold something. They're like, I know you got it. I do, but not for you. But so I really don't talk about that. But my thing is, I'm learning to cut things off that does not serve my overall purpose. If it's not going to allow me to grow as the woman that I am, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I do not want it. I don't, someone can bring me a $2 million check right now and then have all these attachments. And if it's not going to benefit me, I'm so happy that I can say no. And this is something I was talking to my mom about. She's like, I did turn away some contracts, and she's like, oh my God, why would you do that? Because I can.
That's right.
If we're not in alignment, I can turn it away, because unlike working 9 to 5, I had to do what you needed me to do and what you wanted me to do because I was so pressed and I needed that income.
That's
Not
right.
saying that I don't appreciate my clients, because I work for you, right? You're literally my boss.
Yep.
Every client is my boss. But at the same time, when you're coming to me and you don't, and you want me to do something in the financial world that doesn't align with what we're doing, or is unethical, I can let you go. I don't have to work with you because I don't need to work with you. And being at a point in my life where I can make those decisions and make sure the team is growing and the team is doing what they're supposed to do, and integrating that within the team, because I have lost many nights trying to flip them back and forth. Should I let this person go? Should I keep this person? I like this person. It's more than just liking this person.
Right.
What do you value more? And making those decisions, people think owning a business is so great and that you're just gonna have an office, open the door, and they will come. No, you have to work.
TikTok videos. TikTok videos. The thing is what I really love about what you said, and what I think a lot of people that have started businesses and found some level of success in their business, is that in the beginning you are ready and willing to take on any client. You're not operating out of a place of alignment. You are operating out of a place of desperation, overexcitement, not really thinking, until you have those lessons and realize, like, oh, that $300 a month wasn't worth it, you know? So I absolutely love that question. Let me read some of the comments from our viewers. And also, viewers, please, while you're inside of the executive suite, make sure that you drop your questions that you have. I know some of you are business owners, some of you are freelancers, and these ladies are here to answer your questions along with myself. But this is Lucy says that she loves what Bahiyah said about understanding what you allow in your life. Saying no for the sake of your mental health is so important. Jamelia said this discussion is fire, so deep and so real. Thank you, ladies, for keeping it authentic. So I absolutely love this. And I'm going to pick, again, a question here from our lovely crown. I don't care what nobody say. It's our crown. We all wear crowns like this.
We do.
You got a crown like this, don't you, Joy and Bahiyah?
I do. Mine is burgundy. I do.
I got a burgundy one, a burnt orange one, a yellow one. What? Okay. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, so this one is coming from the success pile. Okay. And I think this question is really important. And you touched on it a little bit, Bahiyah, when you talked about like how your family will be in your pockets. That's just one example. But
oh Lord,
what type of pressure do you experience now that you did not experience before achieving this level of success? Because I'm gonna say that we aren't even close to where we want to be. We're still young ladies. Right? But what type of pressure do you experience now that you did not experience before achieving this level of success, Joy?
You always start me on harms. I think that I get a lot less grace now. That the assumption is that I have the answers. People are looking to me more to be a resource, which is great. But I also feel like sometimes when I'm looking for support, people are literally like, oh, you got this, you smart, you don't I don't need any more help because I've done certain things. So that part can be hard because I feel like I'm showing up to help people solve their stuff, and then I got to go figure out my stuff kind of on the back end, which doesn't always feel great. So there's that. The assumptions about money, the assumptions that your business is doing a certain amount of money. That means that you just got like these piles of money laying around all over the house that you get to play in. We still, I've had months where I'm like, this payroll looking a little, looking a little tight this month, right? Despite the revenue that we talked about, right? Those margins are not always what we want them to be. And for some of us, team is our expense, right? Like people is my expense. And people are more expensive sometimes than technology and all the other stuff. So that part of it. So I think those have kind of been, the assumption that you got it. And I think, again, I felt like it played out the most over these last 6 months is that I'm in a space that's really different. And the people that have given me grace have been, TeQuila, you've given me a ton. So there have been people like you who have been like, take what you need, find the room. The people in my day-to-day seem to have forgotten that this is a hard space. And so they, after about a good day or two of, are you okay? Did you eat today? People went right back into their flow of what they needed, flow of communication, what the expectations were. And there wasn't a lot of room. And I'm in a business that people have paid me to provide services. And so clients have some compassion, but they want what they paid for. The team, like everybody kind of just gets back, and as an employee, I took my bereavement time. I came back. People were like, are you all right? I could still take a mental health day. As a CEO, people are like, oh, so are we still getting paid in 2 weeks? Are we still getting our deliverables? Are you still doing all the things? And then I guess because you don't, or because I'm not the type of person that falls apart, like I'm not a fall aparter, I guess people just feel like you good. And they have just kind of like carried on. So I think that part, like the grace that you don't get when people think you got it, that they don't check in, they don't ask.
Yeah.
That part has been, and I think it was probably different prior to this. Like, I think people think I have things buttoned up and they don't check. I think they checked a little bit, not as much, but there was a little bit more going on at different times in my life where people didn't think I had all the things pulled together.
And Bahiyah, this may be a little different for you. Go ahead. This question.
You know what? Actually, no. It's the same. I literally was gonna say what Joy was saying as far as because I don't care how old you are and how much success, people still look at you, especially like you have all the answers.
Yeah.
And in my family and amongst my friends, that's how it is. Now they will say, oh, Bahiyah is humble because she doesn't tell you everything she does, whether it's professional or personal. If I help you out, I'm not going to tell anyone. I don't, even though I'm proud of my successes, I don't glamorize it all on social media. And there are many times where people will later find out, oh, I didn't know you did this. Oh, because I didn't say anything. It's because I wanted to do it. But having people come to me and feel as though because I'm at this certain level that I also have all the answers, as well as, and as crazy as this sound, like I don't have any feelings. Like I don't break down at night. Like I'm not pressured, and I'm tired of hearing, oh, you're so strong. Dude. Okay, yeah, I'm resilient, but at the same time, I hurt. I am exhausted. If you just don't know. I mean, all the things that I'm doing, and people are like, I don't know how you have the time or this and that and the other. I don't, but I'm making the time. But at the same time, while you're thinking I'm this superwoman, I am breaking down when everybody else is asleep, and I have my own little prayer corner. And I'm like, okay, let me go to my altar. Let me sit there and talk to my spirit guides. And I'm like, dude, I saw 444 everywhere, but I didn't see no angels around me. You didn't help me out with this. I'm like, I felt like I was on my own. What's the deal? What's the deal? Ching ching, ringing the bell. Hello. But I don't get that. And I get the from, like I mentioned, people taking for granted, asking me for money because they think I have it. And again, I may have it, but you're not in my budget because I'm a stickler for budget. And like and like Joy said, it's a difference between revenue and your profit and your income and everything. Because revenue, I'm looking great. Like, yeah, then my biggest expense are the team, is the team. And making sure that I am doing everything what I'm supposed to do. But I am tired of people coming to me as though I have all the answers, to be honest. That's it in a nutshell. I want to take the hat off and just be me. And not how you envision me to be, but how I envision myself to be. And I want to take a break. I don't want you to look at me as though, oh my goodness, she's slacking because she's sitting in the backyard sunbathing when she should be doing this, and then the other. Let me have my time to myself so I can regroup and I can be the best person that I am. But I am tired of having or even trying to produce all the answers for everybody. And I feel as though since people see me on a certain level, whether it's financially, academically, in the industry, you do not take the time out to try to gather and do things for yourself, because it's like, well, let me go to Bahiyah. Bahiyah's tired. I am tired, and there is so much difference when somebody tell you they're tired. You need to listen to that, because we don't always reach out and ask for help. I'm learning. So when I literally go to my husband and say, I need help, he knows, okay, what's going on? What's going on? I shouldn't have to get to that point for anybody in my circle, but it's not allowing me to fall just a little bit. Don't have your expectations of me all the way up here. It's though, I'm going to say this. I don't like when people tell me that others look at me as though I'm on a pedestal.
Mhm.
Because if I'm on that pedestal, that means I don't have time to fall down, because you're looking at me as though this is the expectation that I have of you, when in fact, I am only human. And when just like you break down and you get exhausted and you want to cry and you're trying to figure it out, I am too. But I just do it with such grace that you might not even know what I'm going through. Because for one, I have 2001 things going through my head. I overanalyze everything. And now I'm thinking about, okay, what about that client there? Did I do this for that? What about dinner tonight? Am I going to make dinner? What am I going to make? Oh, what am I going to wear tomorrow? I have this event going on. I just want to sit down and just be at peace. But people don't think that that's what you want when you are on a certain level. It's always a go, 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 and let me go to you for any assistance or advice or monetary gratitude or what have you. No, that's not the world that I am presenting and I am creating for myself. So as I continue in this journey of being the best business owner that I can be according to my standards, because even though I look at other people and I'm like, I take a little bit and say, oh, that's working, I am still defining what I want for myself to be in the business world. And I have found out that I don't want to be exhausted, and I don't want you to keep looking at me as though I can't just sit down for a split second.
It goes back to, not to interrupt you, Bahiyah, but it goes back to what Joy said, creating a life you don't want to escape from. And I think that we all share in that, where it's like, give me room to make mistakes, right? Give me room, extend grace, because I hurt, I fall, I want to hide, I want to curse you out, I want to cut you, I want to do all those things.
Okay, TeQuila. Okay.
All of the things, and I don't have all the answers, right? I don't. So I think that we all share in that sentiment. It is nothing else that I could add that you two have not already said.
Sorry, I have a moment.
Look, we didn't get to age it, did we? But, one of the questions that was asked, I want to go into this. I want to get, because we only have a few more minutes, is what are some of the resources that you have used to overcome imposter syndrome, and how did that overcoming contribute to where you are today? And that's to say that you've overcome it, right? Because people are coping with and managing and coexisting with, and that's a battle that I can say that I work through consistently, and that it's not, oh, I'm fully arrived and confident in everything that I do. So what are some of the resources that you have used to overcome, or you use to overcome imposter syndrome, that you deal with or have dealt with?
As crazy as it sounds, therapy for me. I literally have gone through extensive therapy individually, because at first I was like, I can handle this. I can do this. And that's part of the contributing towards this imposter, is though you feel as though you can do it all. But for me, not just the therapy, but taking a step back and literally thinking about, how did this start? Where did this stem from? And addressing where it stemmed from, because not just with imposter syndrome, but a lot of things in our life, we engage in certain things and we just go through the motions, and it becomes so routine that we don't even recognize, where did this come from? And if we don't recognize where it came from, then we cannot address the situation. And for me, my imposter syndrome was, of course, thinking that I was not good enough, even though in reality, I really am. I'm not going to say was, I really am. I'm like, I'm the, what? The cat's meow. I am the cat's meow. But I didn't think that I was the cat's meow. And it seriously. So personally, for me, it was addressing, where did this stem from? And as I said before, it stemmed from my childhood of being raised in such a chaotic environment with my parents, and figuring out that because the environment was so chaotic, I had control over what I was able to contribute. So if I lived in a perfect world and did everything perfectly, then my parents would not have to worry about me. And I was always that honor student, junior honor society. Let's go one step further and do this perfectly. And I would literally stress myself out to the fact where, when I was younger, I would have ulcers, because I'm like, no, it has to be this way. And then when I became an adult and navigating through life, and people say, oh my goodness, you know what you're doing, this and that and the other, we want you on our team. And I'm thinking to myself, am I good enough? Even though I have this background, what am I not doing right? Because they said I am, but I'm like, I'm not. What if I make a mistake? What if I really do not know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Again, they're analyzing everything, being very critical of myself. When in fact, I found out once I started reestablishing a relationship with my dad in my 30s, and learning him as an individual as opposed to my dad, and knowing how he was, and actually addressing him and saying, because of what you did, this is how it impacted my life. And I felt as though I had to be perfect for my parents, because you guys were not perfect together at all. And I transitioned that into everything that I have done. And to be direct with your answer, which I cannot be direct, because I am still becoming who I am,
Right.
and coexisting with the imposter syndrome. And there are times, I have to admit, I wake up and I'm like, ooh, can I really do this?
Yeah.
Is this really me? And then I have to talk myself off the edge and say, Bahiyah, you got this. You got this. You are doing this. This is not what you can do. You
Right.
are doing this. People believe in you. More importantly, you believe in yourself. So stop thinking that you're not capable of. And it's crazy to sound, and somebody may be upset with me, I have adopted the personality of a mediocre Caucasian man. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Wait a minute, before it's time, I wanna move into having Joy
Joy.
answer that question. And then I'm gonna wrap it up a little bit.
Go
So
ahead.
Yeah, really quickly. I have not overcome imposter syndrome. I think the key for me was understanding that the root really is the assumption that I am not what people think I am, and I'm going to at some point be found out, and that the good that I've done is connected to like blind luck or whatever. And so, what I've had to do at times, and I believe in affirmations, but I affirm a little differently. So this is part of, if it's something that's like I don't know if it's a resource, but it's something you can do, is that I'm not the person. So if I'm saying, I'm not gonna stand in the mirror and be like, I am thin, I am thin, I am thin, right? Like that's not, I know some people kind of like make statements about where they're saying they are if they don't believe that. So what I also is affirm what I can believe at the level I can believe it, right? So ideally, I can affirm that I have the ability to make the right choices around my health and my wellness today, right? That's how I like to affirm, because I think that sometimes we use affirmations as a way of trying to convince ourselves into a belief system that we haven't bought into. And so it doesn't feel real. And so what I've actually started to do is like, what level can I affirm on? So as it relates to the business, I have literally said, I embrace the fact that I'm not perfect. My expectation of me today is that I show up effectively and I'm prepared, right? Because that is what I can control. And so that actually helps calm my thoughts around how I have to be in rooms, what people are expecting of me. I've also, talked myself through the idea that a lot of what I assume people want from me is based on an assumption, not on any conversation I've had with them, right? So I'm assuming that people see me this way. And so it's more important for me to understand how I see me and to carry that confidence. So it's really sometimes talking myself backwards off the ledge, but acknowledging that, like, yeah, this stuff is triggered by things that really are outside of my control and on belief systems that have been embedded in me over time. And I'm not going to fix that over the day, right? But it's actually being able to call it out and identify what it is. And then how do I work backwards from that? And that has been uber helpful for me. So when I get on a stage, my job is only to present the information. It is not my job on how to manage how people receive it. It is not I take away the stress of all the things that are not in my control. What I can control is that my outfit is cute, my makeup is done, and I'm standing here, right? And I'm standing here prepared. I've done my reading, I've done my research. I know my content, right? And I'm going to stand here and present at the best way that I can in this moment. So taking myself away from from trying to manage the outcome and managing the behavior and the activity I can control has been uber helpful in helping me manage that part around imposter syndrome.
I love that. I'm going to implement that, right? Because I think that we do think so much about how people are going to receive us, right? And that creates anxiety in itself. And then that sparks the, I'm not good enough. This is not me. I can't do this. But like you, Bahiyah, it's interesting because what you said, I think that's what my daughter is overcoming, and her, because she grew up, I was a teen mom. So we didn't know nothing about being, I was a mother before I knew what it was to be a woman, right? Mm-hmm. Let alone be somebody's wife, right? So she grew up in a state of chaos. And for her, it's to control everything and to be, everything has to look a certain way, be a certain way. So I feel like that's very familiar, but also I align, or what resonates with me is my own childhood when I became a teen parent, right? And at that point, up until that point, I had been an honor student, IB, everything perfect. I never, ever up until that point questioned who I was and my intelligence. And I knew that I was going to be successful. At that point, though, in my life, I adopted, I'm a failure. 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 Right? Because that's what I heard. You had a baby, you failed. That was the one thing. My mother didn't emphasize, go to college, do this, do that. I come from a line of teen moms. So it was, don't become pregnant as a teenager. And I was the last person that anybody expected that to happen to. And so when it did happen, my mom, like, you out on your own, get out of my house. You doing this, I'm a failure. And I carried that I'm a failure to this day. To this day, I'm failing. I could be succeeding. I mean, publishing books, getting awards, record, you name it. I'm succeeding all over the place. But to me, I'm still a failure.
Isn't it something how impactful things can happen decades ago and it still affect you right now in your world? And it doesn't matter how much accomplishments or how many accomplishments you've had, you still reflect on that. It could be one statement that you carry with you your entire life.
And it also is the thing, but it's also the thing that drives you because you're like, I'm never going to fail again.
That's true,
right?
too.
So it's that thing. I see it with my daughter. It was like I had to give everything, because if I don't give everything and she turns out to be what people anticipate, then I failed. I got to give everything to my community. I got to give everything to my job. And I gave so much that I didn't give to myself. Mm-hmm. And that's where at 40, I had to take a pause because that mentality was breaking me. So now I'm very aware of this failure complex that I have through therapy the same way. So just to answer your question, Jamelia, as you can see with all three of us, even with the level of success that we've obtained, and it doesn't matter how long we've obtained it, we're still overcoming. We're still becoming, right? So I have had an absolute great time chatting with you ladies this afternoon on a Friday. But before I go out, I gotta know, what's your theme song? What's your theme song, Joy? What gets you pumped up every day? What do you listen to? It could be an artist, or what artist is it, or is it a particular song?
So y'all gonna laugh at this, but it is absolutely Foxy Brown, Big Bad Mama. So I'll be a bad mama jamma, just as foxy as can be. But yeah, it's one of those songs that like hypes me. I don't necessarily know that I do it every single day, but it's one of those songs that like in those moments where you just kind of like, I can put it on. I like the vibe, I like the beat, I like the lyrics. So there's that, and then on this there's a spiritual side, right? And I think balancing that out with just any song that really kind of talks about like how I've gotten here. So I think more recently it's been Won't He Do It? Won't He Do It? He said he would. So like that reminder that like God got us. And so that's been in the space. That's the stuff I'm vibing to right now.
Yes, I love it.
I don't want to follow behind Joy because y'all gonna judge me.
I'm not judging you. Every
judgment-free zone.
CEO got a ratchet song, but here.
Well, I don't even know if I don't have a ratchet song. I love E40.
Yeah,
I'm saying you put E40 on, y'all can't mess. Seriously, you put E40, that is it, and it irritates my son because he would turn it on, I'm vibing, and then he would turn it off. Biggest hater in the world. I digress. But yes, I love E40. Love E40. Now, what's on heavy rotation for me right now is Kendrick Lamar in 95.
Yeah.
That literally, because I'm like, when you take that mask off, you take everything off, and he's like, you ugly as seriously. And not to say that everybody is ugly, but once you start removing all those layers, you get to see who that person is. So that's who I'm rocking right now as far as individual song. In 95.
I'm rocking that whole album.
I love it too.
Every day, unpacking it. I think it is so telling for the times right now, right? Mm-hmm. So I love it, ladies. I really appreciate you guys being on the show. My producer will be in contact with you with a little thank you gift. And also, please make sure to come back. I am thinking of doing, and I say thinking, it's probably going to happen, but a executive suite brunch. So Joy, you're going to have to fly into Chicago, and it'll be at the end of our segment so that all of our guests can come together and eat and build.
Listen, fly me in, boo, okay? I'll be ready to get on the plane, okay?
She flew you in. As the kids would say, she got flued in.
Okay, ladies, you enjoy your weekend and all the festivities. Thank you so much for being our guest. Talk to you next time.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Okay, you guys, thank you for tuning in this afternoon to the Executive Suite. I hope that you will join us every first and third Friday. Make sure that you have liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook to find out our guests, and also make sure that you're at the executivesuite.com, right? And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that's up on the screen. You can become a guest here, and we are always looking for high earning women, self-made women with a story. So definitely go onto the executivesuite.com and apply if you have these things. You are a high earner, meaning you make at least $250,000 or more per year, or maybe you have about $750,000 in assets or higher. You have a story. You are an executive or a business owner. You don't necessarily have to own a business, but you just have to be a high earner that's self-made and have a story to share to inspire others. We would love to have you as a guest, and we're still looking for this year. Make sure that you come back and join with us on June 3rd. We'll be back here then. Until then, you guys, I will see you. I'm your girl, TeQuila Shabazz. Until next time. Bye-bye.